Hey everybody, we're back again for another entry into the mission tutorial section of Warframe. We're doing one of the brand new ones. Not really brand new as far as the game, but as far as me covering it. The mission mode of Defection, aka it's to be called Evacuation, but we changed that. We didn't like that. That's no good. Defection mission. In the Defection mode, you're tasked with keeping some defectors alive. They don't like the Grineer anymore, but they are Grineer. Grineer doesn't like it when the Grineer doesn't like Grineer, so you're there to rescue them and get them off of there. Problem is, it's an infested ship. There's poisonous spores everywhere. They're not good at surviving that stuff. So it's up to you and your beautiful, magnificent Warframes to keep them alive against all odds, both physical and gaseous, to get to the extraction and send them off to justice. They will spawn in a little bit after the mission begins. Gives you a little bit of a chance to get to these zones. There's these big, what look to be life support pillars, at least at the current state of the game, that you would be recognizing from survival modes. Except for here, they're actually medical boosters. Ooh. What the med booster does is when one of these defectors gets near it, it's going to zap a lightning bolt over to them. But it's not a bad lightning bolt, it's a healthy lightning bolt, and it will heal them. The more juice you have in there, the better, because then the longer it can keep them drained. And of course, as alluded to, everything in this place wants them dead. The bad guys want them dead, the air wants them dead. If they're not near one of these boosters, the default state of life is misery and dying slowly from gases. So you want to keep them healthy by charging the power that drops from the little mutualist carriers. Much the same way you would go about getting batteries for a excavation node, if you will. So you kill these guys, they drop the things, and then you can slot them in, which will charge up the tower, which will then heal up the guys. The honest to goodness real benefit of the towers is that the defectors will kind of group around it and regroup, so it's a nice way of getting them bunched together after you run into some issues with ancient rip lines and stomps and stuff, kind of scattering them apart. Because most, and this isn't the only way you can play it, of course, but most people will find it's a lot easier to just bring a frame capable of healing, such as Trinity Oberon, to juice up the little defectors and keep them nice and healthy, and just ignore the boosters, making them hit the booster and immediately go, which you select them by using your designated interaction key, in my case E, when they get there, and then okay, hey, move out, and they will move out. But you use these healing frames because it will heal them up and completely sort of negate the healing towers altogether, which means they're constantly moving, they're moving quicker. The less time they're on the field, the less they're getting attacked by bad guys, and the quicker you progress through the mission, which it's Warframe. If you're in a power grind to get some parts or something, you want to go as fast as possible most of the time. Now, this is a little bit further complicated because what you'll see in this video is actually almost like a easy mode because I'm playing solo. And when you're playing solo, it only ever spawns one group of guys for you. Usually that's not the case. Usually you're juggling two different groups trying to keep everybody alive. But of course, at that point, you have a squad of people with you to help out with this. Usually it will spawn up to 3 med boosters, and then of course you will have to kind of go from B or C over to A and then onward. So you kind of have to split the team up in order to really effectively manage and keep things flowing smoothly. Which potentially means to keep things really smoothly, you might actually need 2 people with healing frames. Again, not required, just if you want to make it easier in that regard. It's pretty straightforward in the concept as long as, they don't get daisy-chained into a rip line of doom and just never stand up. And they can die, which if you, as you can see in the HUD probably, if you lose 10 of them, you lose the mission and you're kicked out and, too bad, you gotta leave. The actual win cycle is literally just getting them to the ship to leave alive. And it just repeats and repeats. It's an endless mission mode. That's how it works. This is usually, you get 2 squads in there, or 4 squads in there. So it's kind of like every 2 waves of survivors is going to bump you up. Rotation is the same as it is in pretty much all Warframe content. An A rotation, an A rotation, a B rotation, and a C rotation as far as the rewards go. Now, they do try to throw in a little bit of a kink for you here and then you'll get a, say, Grineer Manic will spawn and cause a little bit of an issue for you. I have actually left him in this video, and I might chop this video up just to kind of emphasize points as I'm saying them, but when you kill him, he will actually drop a bigger power cell, which when you put into the med booster will jack it straight up to 100% regardless of what it's at, which is nice if you want to, use the med boosters for healing people instead of just powering through with the frames. If you aren't using a frame capable of healing these guys, you will want to use the med booster, because otherwise they will probably die before they make it just from the gas, let alone being attacked by dudes. So that is something to keep in the back of your mind. The goal is to keep them alive. If a Warframe can't give them health, you're going to need to make use of the med boosters and work accordingly. Invasions can happen while you're in here. You can also get fanatics and operatives and things of that sort to jump in. So it can get pretty brutal at times, but at the same time, if you're playing it with a squad, it's no biggie at all. I don't stay for the full C rotation suite because honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the game mode. It's neat, it's something different. I'm not a fan. Honest opinion there. I don't like the babysit missions, and this is very much a babysit mission, so it doesn't fit into my style. The actual mode itself is pretty much all in dark sectors at the moment, from what I can gather at the time of me recording this, which is a nice spot to go, because since it's a dark sector, you get the enhanced affinity urns, you get the enhanced resource urns, so it's kind of like a nice spot to go to just kind of boost some stuff up while you're doing it. Of course, if you hate the infested enemy type, it's going to be a nightmare. But it happens. As alluded to earlier as well, there is a nice reason to bring something that's not just straight up power in here. If you get those healing frames like that Trinity or that Oberon, or to some point even Equinox, it will heal the little guys. And if it heals the little guys, it keeps them alive, letting you keep the objective of the mission going longer, and all's good and happy. You can also bring things that are better at keeping bad guys at bay. Things like, say, Korra, who can strangle dome the crap out of people. Things like that. A Garuda can be useful. A little tricky, though, because, you can use the Blood Altar, and that heals people. But, of course, these dudes are always moving. So theoretically, a Wisp might also be good. I haven't tested this, but the Wisp might be good because she also has the health-oriented little Wisp drops that she can do. But since the little guys are always moving, you will have to keep it in mind that they're not going to be that stationary. Some things can work on them nice, like you can switch teleport with them to give them a little bit of a boost along, but it's only one at a time you could do it. Or you could use a wormhole, but sometimes if you aim your wormhole wrong, things can go real sour when they get stuck somewhere, and then you're kind of just like, okay, they're dead. I'm going to have to just eat that one. So sometimes maybe not the best idea to do that kind of stuff. Things like Volt Speed Boost won't actually increase their movement. There is a separate consumable item that was built from Clan Tech that you could use on these guys to do those sort of things. They also came with downsides, which honestly I have never really used them because of that, so I couldn't really tell you how useful they are, and just, being honest again. The bad guys will kill them eventually if you keep trying long enough, because they're just going to get hard enough to, take down before they deal with it. Shouldn't normally be a problem, but it can happen, and it will initiate a bleed out timer so you can go and save them. They will auto die, if I remember correctly, after the second time they go down, though, so make sure you babysit your babies and don't let them choke on gases, I guess is the moral here. Now, mission type stuff all out of the way. Hopefully the audio, or video specifically, I should say, quality of this is better this time around. I've done a different, more of a lossless recording. The downside is only on my end, where I have a 50 gig file for 10 minutes. But on your end, I'm hoping it will come through a lot more clear. After this, there's really only one, maybe two if I want to push it, other Warframe-based mission tutorials that I really plan on doing. I may go and revisit at some point the entire series just to update it all so it's fresh and not as crappy looking. And there are some mechanics that I can still hit. But unless I decide to go on and do the Arcwing modes, or they decide to add more missions in, we are actually finally getting close to having all of the mission tutorials done. Even if some of them have already been outdated by the whole beta constantly reworking things, at least they'll be there. As always, if you have any questions or comments, you can leave them in the comment section below. I try to answer a lot of them unless it doesn't really seem like one that really needs a response to it, in which case I'll just sit there. I'm not really ignoring you people who I don't answer to most of the time. I've seen it and I just haven't come up with a response to it because it doesn't seem like it needs one. But hopefully they'll add more stuff. Maybe I'll keep motivating. I'll make more stuff. Otherwise, that's your tutorial for today, kids. Go out there, have fun, save some Grineer dudes because they're cool and you like them. I'll see you next time.